is it good for everyone? For most jobs, experience will help you get ahead. In the marijuana industry, it's not that simple. I'd like to start by telling you a story of two men in their 30s, Henderson and Nick. Henderson and Nick both grew up enjoying marijuana in their late teens and early 20s. Both even dabbled in growing for their own personal stash. Their stories diverge when Henderson gets caught with 2 joints worth of pot and receives a misdemeanor charge. Now in the system and under some scrutiny, his second arrest results in a felony charge. Nick doesn't get caught, and he continues to learn innovative growing techniques in his free time. Henderson's driver's license has been revoked, and finding a job is becoming incredibly difficult. When prospective landlords do background checks, his housing options evaporate. Now, when the first dispensaries open up, both Henderson and Nick apply to become bud tenders. Nick gets the job and uses this experience to move over to the growing side. As an ex-felon, Henderson is banned from working at, owning, investing in, and even sitting on the board of a marijuana business. The irony is thick. As legalization is spreading across the country, there's fierce competition to hire and license people with marijuana expertise. It just can't be someone who got caught. In an industry that took in $9 billion in sales in 2017, money is being made off of something that other people are in jail for. Now, this is an infuriating double standard any way you cut it. But I'd like to add another variable and add a little bit more data to this. Race matters. Data shows us that white and black Americans use marijuana at identical rates, and yet smokers of color are 4 times more likely to be arrested for it. And in some states, that's closer to 9 times. Even in Colorado, where legalization has reduced the overall number of marijuana arrests, the racial disparity remains. It's not more law-breaking, it's more consequences, and it's more punishment. And on top of all of this, people of color, Okay, as a result, people of color have a higher percentage of criminal records. So a population with a higher percentage of criminal records has less access to labor opportunities, less access to financial opportunities, and less political power by losing the right to vote. The negative consequences are compounded. It's not additive, it's exponential. And on top of all of this, they're shut out of the marijuana industry. The people most likely to be victims of marijuana prohibition are the least likely to profit from its legalization. Between the systems of inequality that lead to the racial wealth gap and the failed war on drugs, the majority of the profit of legal marijuana sales go to middle and upper class white Americans. Decriminalization is ultimately about undoing racism and igniting equity in the world. Vacating convictions is the first step in the right direction. Places like San Diego and San Francisco are automatically clearing convictions en masse. Other states, such as Colorado, are taking a little bit more of a reactive approach, and they're requiring people to petition to have their convictions sealed. That can't happen. Individuals petitioning the courts cost time and money, and that's something a lot of people don't have. Cannabis licensing equity is another way to help those left out of the marijuana boom. Places like Massachusetts are giving applicants some credit for hiring people with a drug felony background. In Oakland, they're reserving half of the licenses for people with marijuana convictions, as well as those who live in neighborhoods that are disproportionately affected by marijuana arrests. Very cool. So, as an individual, I encourage you to reach out to your senators and ask them to support the Marijuana Justice Act. This is legislation introduced to decriminalize marijuana at the federal level. Also, I ask you to become better educated on how the tax profits are used and advocate for their use to rebuild communities devastated by the war on drugs. And finally, if you own a dispensary or you work within the industry, use your influence to advocate both publicly and privately for legal changes that will broaden the pool of those looking to break into the industry. Together, we can start to right these injustices and redress some of the effects of institutional racism, but it starts with awareness. Thank you.